Hello, everyone. It's time for Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 188, season 8. Today's date is January 3rd, 2023, and Happy New Year, everyone. So, this will be the first podcast episode of the year. I'm very excited. You have to excuse me, I sound a little hoarse because I got a head cold. That's what I need to start the beginning of the year. Posted on social media. I'll do my best. Have a little my head hurts a little bit, but I have my Kleenex here and my orange juice. I took some medicine. Hopefully I'll be okay, but if I feel like coughing or sneezing, I'll pause and then I'll continue. Okay, on today's program I will talk about my memories of telephone booths in the Chicagoland area. This will be interesting. Also, I will do a tribute to journalist Barbara Walters. She passed away on December 30th, 2022. And I will talk about memories of her. She was a wonderful lady, smart, and she was everywhere on television. And I'll go in more depth about her life and her career. And it should be a lot of fun. Okay. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Almond Joy and Mounds candy bars. This is a commercial from 1977. I think a lot of people remembered this catchy jingle. And so sit back and enjoy. And when I come back, I will explain. Okay? So here we go.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts, Peter Paul, Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Almond Joy and Mounds. See, I told you, that jingle is catchy. I loved it. I remember this came out when I was in 8th grade, first year of high school. It was manufactured by the Peter Paul Candy Manufacturing Company, excuse me, and they were sold to Hershey in 1988. And Almond Joy had coconut, milk chocolate, and almonds, whereas Mounds had dark chocolate, no almonds, and coconut. I like both. I like Mounds better. You know, that's pretty good. You know, and remember they made the York peppermint patties. You remember Caravel candy bar? That was good. Oh, I love that. And some peanut butter jelly candy bar. Remember that? I don't like peanut butter and jelly, not together. I don't want to go into that. Okay, and still in the market. So if you have a craving for either of those two, Almond Joy or Mounds, go ahead. I gotta watch it. You know, so okay, so at the beginning of the program, I said I was going to talk about my memories of telephone booths in Chicago, and I'm going to do a tribute to Barbara Walters. She was a trailblazer, wonderful lady, and a journalist. Like I said before, in the beginning of the program, I have a cold. I'm a little better, but I just got it now, so I didn't sleep very well. So I'm coughing a little bit. I got a stuffy nose, so I took some medicine, have some orange juice, and I have my Kleenex. I sound a little different. I hope it don't sound different, but it'll pass about a couple of days. And let's see what else. Tomorrow is the 17th anniversary of my father passed away. He died January 4th, 2006. We all miss him. I didn't have an easy relationship with my father, but he was still my dad, and I love him. But that's how they are. Sometimes you can't talk to him, but I still miss him every day. I miss him being here. Okay, so let's go have some fun. All right. I will talk about Barbara Walters. So here we go. Her death was not a complete surprise because she lived to be the age of 93, and she retired in I don't know. I forgot how it. 2014? No, I think later. 2016 or something like that. When I find it, I'll let you know. Let me talk a little bit about her background. Okay, she was born Barbara Jill Walters, September 25th, 1929. She's best known as on the Today Show, the ABC Evening News, 2020, and The View. Oh, here we go. She began working as a journalist in 1951, and then she retired in 2015. I don't know officially. She kept coming back. That's what I heard. And she began. They had a TV special for her honor Sunday. I recorded on the DVR. Watched it last night. It was very good. And she was interviewed, but that's like a past interview, from past years. And she talked about her life and her family and all that. And her father was Lou Walters. He owned some nightclubs, and it was called the Latin Quarter. And there was one in New York, Boston, Miami, and there was one in Chicago. I don't know where in Chicago. Probably somewhere in the Loop, I would imagine. And she said she lived in different high schools in different cities. She went to school in New York, Florida, Boston. She moved around a bit. I don't know why. And then she graduated from Sarah Lawrence College in Yonkers. And then that's where she got her career started. And she got hired on the Today Show. And she was a writer first, and then she began going on the air. And she was on the air with, Tom Brokaw and Frank McGee. And then he passed away in 1971. And she took over his job like that. And so she was on the Today Show, I would say late 50s to the early 70s. And then she got hired on the ABC Evening News. And it was the first she was a co-anchor. It was the first with a woman. And also, you have two co-anchors, and that was Harry Reasoner. You remember him from 60 Minutes. They didn't get along because I don't know, he was, some people claim he was sexist and didn't want to work with a woman. But they became friendly later on, and she left. She was there until, I don't know, 1981. She was on there for 5 years at least, like that. Before, here's something you don't know. A lot of people have forgotten. There was a TV show. Let's see. And it was syndicated. It began in 1971. It was called Not for Women Only. And it was she hosted that show. And let's see. And I remember this show vividly. Yeah, I do remember it. It was on, I think it aired on Channel 5 first in 1971. Then it moved to Channel 44, WSNS TV. I remember the promos. And it aired about not late at night, in the evening, like 9 o'clock. I remember that. Excuse me. And then, so she hosted that show. I remembered. I didn't understand it, because you talk about topics, women's issues and all that. I was a kid. Would I know that? And so I remember that show very well, And then it's ended in 1976, and then she went to the ABC Evening News. That's where she started. And but she was only there for 2 years. I made a mistake. She wasn't there from 1976 to 1981. She was there from 1976 to 1978. And then that's when Harry Reasoner moved to CBS, and then I think he joined 60 Minutes, I think, at the time, and he stayed there until he passed away. And then 2020 started, the news magazine. That premiered on, let's see, I have the date right here, June 6, 1978. She was not the first host. It was a magazine editor from Esquire. His name was Harold Hayes. He also served as the senior producer, and also Time Magazine art critic Robert Hughes. It didn't do well in the ratings at first, so I remember the promo of that. I remember the glasses, it showed on Channel 7, WLS in Chicago. And so they decided to get rid of them. And then they hired Hugh Downs, and he hosted that. And then program became a little interesting. And then Barbara Walters joined the program 1 year later in 1979. But she wasn't a co-anchor of that or the co-host. That came later, about a couple of years. And they were together for a long time. Remember, I love 2020 and back in the day. Now it's different. They had some interesting segments. They talk about art, interviews, and all that. That's very interesting. And it's still on it's still on Friday nights. I think it used to air on Thursdays. Then they moved to Fridays. And so, also, if there's something interesting on 2020, I will record it on a DVD and watch it. I will do that. Okay. And then, also on the Today Show, Barbara Walters did commercials, and she did on-the-air products, and she did them on the air, like for hair products, antiperspirant. And right now, here's a commercial from the '60s. It's called City Service, and this is Barbara Walters with Ed McMahon. City Service is a gas station. It later turned into Citgo. And it's from 1960. So sit back and enjoy, and you will hear her speak. Okay, here we go.
We've changed into something with Zoom. Watch our Zoom, we'll show you how. City Service is Citgo now.
Barbara Walters
and Ed McMahon for Citgo, where the Zoom is. Zoom, that's the sound of power in new Citgo Premium Gasoline. It cleans your carburetor as you drive and keeps it clean. And there's Zoom in new, more protective Citgo Extra Range motor oil. Watch. 2 steel shafts coated with oil, spinning at high speed, and gripped by vice-like steel jaws. Citgo protects while regular competitive oil fails. Proof. Citgo Extra Range gives extra protection. That's Zoom.
And let's not forget the Zoom in Citgo's service. So drive into Citgo.
And drive out with Zoom.
Zoom, 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 zoom. Citgo Zoom.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for City Service. It's City Service in Chicago. I remember that. The name change happened in 1965. I barely remembered that. I was very little, but I remember seeing signs of that. You can find that on eBay, signs of City Services. But now it's Citgo. So, and that commercial, that's from 1965. And that's one of the few commercials that Barbara Walters starred in. And that was Ed McMahon from The Tonight Show. So that was her. If you listen to her voice, that was unmistakably her. Okay, and then another thing I liked about Barbara Walters was her TV specials. And I think the first one was 1976, I believe. And I think one of the earliest ones, she interviewed President Jimmy Carter and his wife, Rosalind. And I think the other one was Barbra Streisand. And she had a boyfriend, John Peters, at the time. He was a hairdresser, and then he became I don't know. I think it was the time when she started in The Star is Born with Chris Christopherson. I remember that. And they became very popular. And they aired maybe once or twice a year. And I remember a few where she interviewed Elizabeth Taylor, Lucille Ball, Jimmy Stewart, Ronald Reagan. That's when he got elected as president. And it went on for years and years like that. And also Cher, I remember that. And if I think of more, I'll let you know. And then she did the Oscars special, where ABC on Channel 7, WLS in Chicago, aired the Oscar show. And right before that was the Barbara Walters special. And then it became the Oscar special. She would interview, like the most popular actors. They were hot at the time, and she grabbed them. She talked to them. And, I remember one interview. She did Fidel Castro, and she went to Cuba. That was interesting. Very interesting indeed. And the Oscar specials were they were my favorites. I enjoyed watching them. I look forward. That was like Oscar night. And she stopped doing them about 2010, something like that. And then, let's see, then she started The View. And The View was a talk show. It had women, she was the co-host, and there were a lot of women there. It premiered on August 11, 1997. And I watched a few times on The View. It was calmer back then. And when Barbara was there, she was like the referee. Then later on, it got a little crazy like that. And sometimes it was crazy when she wasn't there. She tried to calm everyone down, but I don't know. They go nuts. I think they're too passionate about politics like that. I don't really like watching the show. I don't watch it now. But it's just nuts. Co-host of the show came and went, and right now Whoopi Goldberg's there. I like Whoopi Goldberg. She's funny, but I don't know. She's more serious now. I like her when she was goofy and hilarious. Yeah, she still is in a way. And then, so she sort of retired in 2015, but she kept coming back. And then after that, you didn't see her much. And I heard there were rumors that she had Alzheimer's. That might be true. I don't know, because she was not in the public eye for years. And so that's a shame. And she wrote an autobiography called Audition, a memoir, in 2008. And it talks about her career like that. She was married 3 times. I think twice to the same man. So she was married 4. That's officially. So that's sad that she's gone. It really is, because I liked her a lot. She was like, one other thing. A lot of people liked when on Saturday Night Live, Gilda Radner did Baba Wawa. It was the funniest thing I ever saw. And I heard from Barbara Walters. The story was her daughter was watching Saturday Night Live, and then Barbara Walters walked in and she saw that, and she got very offended. And someone made fun of her. And I don't know if she met Gilda Radner before she passed away. I don't know, but she lightened. Her daughter told her to lighten up. She did, And now it was at first she hated it. She detested it, like that. So it's still funny when you watch the segments with Gilda Radner's Baba Wawa. Oh, it's hilarious. And then I heard who else? Like Rachel Dratch does Barbara Walters, but not Baba Wawa. And I think Sherry O'Terry did Barbara Walters. I don't think she'd mind. But Gilda Radner was the best. I love that. What are we going to do? Okay, let's see. So that's it for Barbara Walters. Right now, I'm going to talk about my memories of telephone booths. This will be fun. And my earliest memory of telephone booths was, I think we lived in the South Shore area in Chicago in the 60s. It was about maybe 3 or 4. And I remember they were outside a store. And it said phone, and they had the word telephone, and it was red, and you go in, and you slide the door. That's what I remember. When I first saw it, I asked my mom, why are these people going in and closing the door? And she said, well, they're making a phone call. It was fascinating. So one day I was curious. I went inside to see what that was, and I was fascinated by the contraction, the payphone with the dial, not the touch tone. And then we just put a coin in a slot, People do when they're done, they check the slot in the bottom to see if the coin is still there. Lucky, sometimes you do find it. It's happened to me like that. So telephone booths were all around Chicago, mostly in downtown. I remember seeing those when I went with my mom and my brothers. We visited the Chicago Loop. And as I got older, I remember my grades in grade school at Correas Elementary. That was in. I don't remember seeing a phone booth at the previous locations. When I moved to Palos Hills, they did have a phone booth, and it was made like in a concrete, like it was brown. And you go in, there were maybe one phone or two. I don't remember. One, I guess. And then as payphones fell out of favor, they sealed that room up. It was nothing. So um, the only person who doesn't have a cell phone is my mom. So she needs to make a phone call. She either goes to the church office or she borrows somebody's cell phone because she can't stand them. And so that was So that I remember that was another memory of the phone booth was at school. I used it once in a while. I remember they cost like a quarter back then, something like that. Yeah, it's been a while. A quarter or 20 cents, 25 cents, like that. Then when I went to Bogan High School, there were phone booths everywhere. I remember they were on the first floor, I think one on the second, believe. And there was one where it didn't have a booth. It just there was just a phone. But if you went in the booth, you want privacy. You want to talk like that. And I remember across the street there was White Castles, and they had phone booths there. I remember that, and I remember the kids were calling people. They were about maybe three in a row, or something like that. I remember that. I used to go to lunch there all the time. Other phone booths in the area. I think there was one near at Edwards Drugstore. I think there was. Yeah, I think there was, and another one probably Mr. Sunbury. It could be. I could be wrong. But sometimes phone booths were located inside stores and restaurants, and department stores. I remember Weebles had one at Fort City, and also I forgot what it's Montgomery Ward, I think. But I think in Fort City they had like a section of payphones. You can make a call like that. And then as the years pass by, you saw the payphones when you're driving around, like near a White Hen or 7-Eleven. The last time I saw a payphone was near my house. It was right near a Shell station, gas station. It's still there, but it's not operating. It's just it doesn't work. And if people don't have a cell phone, you're out of luck. Yeah, let's see what else about payphones. And you used to see them on TV, movies, classically. Of course, the classic one is Superman, where when Clark Kent sees someone in trouble, he would dash in the phone booth and change. Now he doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't go into a phone booth. He just maybe goes to a broom closet or does it behind people's back, and then he changes. He pulls the shirt on. You saw the S, and then whoop, and he goes up, up, up and away. And I don't think they did that on a TV show. The Adventures of Superman. I don't remember seeing him. He just changed in a closet or something, but not in a phone booth. I think that was from the comics. I think so. I think it was from the comics. And so kids today, they have their cell phones. They text. They rarely talk. To one another. Not really. They text to each other. That never existed when I was in school. No, not in high school. We had notes we pass out to one another. Or we just talk. Or if we want to talk to somebody on the phone, we go home. Use the landline that's on the wall or in your bedroom or your parents' bedroom. And the girls had the princess phones. And so my favorite thing about with the phone, I've mentioned this before, is like when it rings and someone will say, I'll get it. I still have a landline in my house and I still do that. That's from my mom. She needs that. I like the clarity of it. So it's kind of funny. Also, they were found at airports. So I posted a photo of phone booths that were lined up at Chicago's O'Hare Airport in 1963. That's before the airport, got big like that. And you see businessmen with suits and ties and hats and overcoats talking. They were probably calling their homes or calling their offices, let them know they arrived or they're departing, like that. That's how it was back then. And, also train stations like Union Station. I remember they had someone told me there was like a lot of phone booths in one section. That's pretty cool. Of course, bus stations like that. So they were found like stores, any establishments, restaurants. You want to use a payphone. Now, a lot of people, when they watch an old TV show, an old movie, and it looks kind of strange, that they're not doing anything. That was normal back then, but to kids and sometimes me, it's like, what is this? Why are they using that? So that's the only way you communicated back then. That was it. So that was only the most reliable form of communications. If you want to contact somebody from the world, in the city, and locally or internationally. I mean, internationally is expensive, but now it's cheaper to do that. Okay. So that'll be all for today for episode 188. Do a recap of what I talked about. I talked about my tribute to Barbara Walters, the American journalist that passed away on December 30th, 2022. Also talk about my memories of telephone booths in Chicago. That was fun. And I hope I get over this cold. I hope so. And I will do another podcast episode probably this weekend. And it's great. What a way to start 2023. I'm excited. And also, we're episode 188, so we got 12 more to go to hit the 200 milestone. Could be soon, probably springtime. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, this is your host for Pete Costanis. This is your host, Pete Costanis. I said that wrong. For Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me, and I hope everyone has a great day. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. So here's bye-bye from me. So long, everyone. Take care.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.